Hello, everyone, and welcome. It's Shanna. Now, we are on to day 16 of our Spellbinders Advent Calendar, and we're just going to get it opened and see what we've got in here. And I actually just about ripped the cover off. Looks like we've got some banners with some sentiments on it, and we're just going to pull them out and take a look. We've got happy day, congrats, and good vibes are the sentiments that are on here. I'm just going to, in my usual form, grab just a scrap piece of cardstock we've got laying around, and we're going to put these dies down on there so you can take a look at them. So you've got 4 dies. You've got the background banner die, and then you have the good vibes, the congrats, and then the happy day. And you'll need to lay each one of those inside of there because those dies in and of themselves will not cut. They'll just press. The outer one will cut. So I went off camera and I cut a bunch of them off. I actually used some scraps from some of our previous cards to do the banners. And I've got some yellow, orange, and some pink. And then I used some black pieces to actually die cut out the banner part of it. And I just used the banner separately and did it. And you might remember this butterfly that we stenciled. Was it day 7, I think? I held on to that, and now's a good time to bring it out. So I'm going to bring in my card base that I've already pre-scored and folded. I used my bone folder to give it an extra good press. And then I have created a panel here using this Distress Mix 3D embossing folder from Spellbinders. It's a really fun one, and I chose a pink that would coordinate with the pink on our butterfly. And we're just going to get this panel laid down on our card base, and then we'll start building our card. It's going to be a simple card, but I think it's going to be a pretty card. So we're going to get this glue on there and get our base layer laid down. Now today's video is a quick one. This was a quick make. You know, I just did some quick die cutting of those banners, the sentiment banners, off camera, and embossed this panel. And since I already had the butterfly stenciled and in my stash, it came together rather quickly. I grabbed a couple of scraps and I've just layered them down to where I can layer this butterfly on it. I just kind of took, I guess, 1/4 inch off all sides for both layers, and so that we'll have a nice frame around there. And I'm using the orange and the yellow just to kind of tie in how we have stenciled that butterfly, and then using the pink for the background. And then we will use a couple of those banners as our sentiments. And I think just adding the embossed panel behind this really adds a lot to it. Otherwise, it might be a fairly plain card. But I think putting that embossed detail behind it really makes it look interesting. So what my plan is to just lay this in the lower right-hand corner, and then that'll give me the upper left-hand corner to put a couple of these sentiments. We're going to do congrats, happy day. And that's going to pretty much make up our card. Now I've got those, I'm going to get this butterfly laid down on there, but I have got those black banners to put behind the 2 banners that I'm going to use just to make the letters pop on the banners. It'll just help the congrats and happy day stand out a little bit more having that black between there. So that is why I have die cut those out. So I'm just giving this a good press. We've got a lot of 3D embossed detail on there, so we need to give it time to kind of set up and get adhered. So I've got my happy day, and I'm just going to put that black behind there, and that will just help the words to be better seen. And I'm using my big glue tip. I don't know why. I need the smaller one. I use it for the panel just because it's easier to use a larger swath of glue when you're laying your panel down on your card base. That way you can move it around and get it straight as you need it. But I should have brought my detail glue tip in, and we've got a little bit of glue on there, and I'll just take my tweezers and just clean it up, or I guess I used my pick tool, and we'll just get all that glue off of there and it'll be good to go. Now when you use the thicker cardstock, you want to roll your sentiments through 2 or 3 times so that these little letters will pop out. I'm using Spellbinders, so I had to do 2 passes through on my Scout cutting machine so that the letters would pop out. If you're using just some thin cardstock, you won't have to do that, but since I was using the heavy stuff, I needed to do that. So I've got glue on my desk. I'm going to grab a rag. We'll get it wiped down, and then we're going to get to moving on this card. Really, all we have to do is to get our sentiments laid down on here. Because of the 3D embossing that I used for that back panel, I'm not even going to choose to lay any embellishments or anything like that on here. I'm just going to keep it fairly simple. And I've laid this down with happy day, congrats. And I think it's a fun congratulations card with lots of detail with that embossed panel and that stenciled butterfly. I think it looks really pretty. So I've got all these extra banners die cut out here. I actually have one more than I need. I'm going to bring in my coin envelope that I have. And we're going to get to creating our envelope for our... So I grabbed those numbers, and we're going to leave them in green. We've kind of... I didn't really have a color that I could lay on top of the green that would match these, and I wasn't going to die cut any out. So I'm kind of using pink for my rainbow. I've got pink, orange, yellow, and then we'll add the green with the numbers, and we'll just call it a rainbow. Anyway, so I'm just going to lay them down on this coin envelope just like this, and just kind of stack them on their sides, I guess. And then we'll get our 16 laid down on there. We'll have our envelope, and that will pretty much finish up our project. And we'll get the last one laid down on there. Now, I have had some viewers say that they've been making their own envelopes with different things that they have, and I think that's a great idea. You can certainly pick up these coin envelopes on Amazon. Now, I did have to make some custom ones for some of the larger things, but overall, I've been able to get a lot of the things in these coin envelopes. I've made maybe 2 or 3 custom ones to fit larger things, but and I will tell you, as much as I've been taking them on and off the ring, you might want a reinforcer for your hole, or you might simply choose not to punch a hole and just keep them stored in these envelopes that way. That's what I'm finding out as I'm using, because I'm using these, because I'm pulling them out every day to kind of add on different things to them. So just to consider that as you're moving along. But I've got an extra one there, and I've got a dish on my desk that I laid it in, because as I'm building on to things, I'm pulling stuff out of the dish too when I've die cut extra pieces out, and that will help me with the next projects. So here's our corn envelope, and I've taken some pictures for you to look at. I hope you like my card, and thanks for watching. If you would, consider giving the video a like, and if you haven't subscribed, I'd love to have you as a member. Thanks for watching.